Welcome to the second in a series of hearings in the Chemical Safety, Waste Management, Environmental Justice, and Regulatory Oversight Subcommittee on the environmental and public health dangers involved in the production, use, and disposal of plastics. I appreciate the support of Senator Carper and Ranking Member Capito for this set of hearings exploring these issues. In our first hearing, we established that plastic has some unique and amazing properties. There are a lot of specialized applications where these may be important and sometimes essential, but the majority of plastic is single-use plastic, and that there are significant challenges or harms caused by plastics to human health, to ecosystems, and to the environment. Today, we're going to hear from people who are impacted the most by plastic, those who live next to facilities where plastic is made, and facilities where it is disposed of, often by burning. Now, the goal is to better understand why plastic facilities are clumped together and the effect that they are having. You cannot tell the story of plastics without mentioning Cancer Alley in Louisiana. Cancer Alley is an 85-mile section covering 11 parishes along the Mississippi River between New Orleans and Baton Rouge that has high levels of toxic pollution. It accounts for some 25% of the nation's petrochemical production and has the largest concentration of chemical plants in the Western Hemisphere. The existence of 150 petrochemical plants in agricultural areas of Cancer Alley is the legacy of slavery. What was once plantations where enslaved Black Americans raised sugarcane has been replaced by petrochemical facilities. The free towns established when recently freed Black Americans lived as sharecroppers now sit right next door to these plants. And the state is not only not protecting them, it may in fact be discriminating. And I quote from a letter that EPA sent to Louisiana's Department of Environmental Quality, quote, EPA has significant concerns that Black residents and school children living and or attending school near the Denka facility have been subjected to discrimination through LDEQ's actions and inactions in the implementation of its air pollution control permit program. End of quote. And where does this plastic go when we're done with it? Too often it goes to the municipal solid waste incinerators, where it's burned, with air pollution emissions comparable to fossil fuel power plants. The burning of plastics releases toxic gases like dioxins, furans, mercury, polychlorinated biphenyls, and it causes a significant range of health maladies. It's no surprise that 79% of the 73 incinerators in the U.S. are located in low-income communities or communities of color. Of these facilities, 48 incinerators are located in communities where more than 25% of the population is below the federal poverty level. And policies that Congress included in the debt ceiling bill weaken the National Environmental Policy Act and will make it more difficult for overburdened frontline communities to protect themselves. There's a lot of talk about jobs, so let's get some statistics on that. The cities and communities historically dominated by petrochemical production are overwhelmingly poor, and building petrochemical facilities does not lead to significant job benefits or economic prosperity for the surrounding communities. Port Arthur is home to the nation's largest oil refinery operation, but it has an unemployment rate twice as high as Texas' average. Port Arthur ranks as Texas' poorest city with a poverty rate of 27.2%, double the Texas average of 14.2%, or almost double. A study by St. Gabriel in Louisiana found that just 9% of full-time industry jobs were held by local citizens, despite the town having an annual per capita income of just $15,000. A third below the state average and half the national average. Whether it's intentional discrimination or because of lack of qualifications for the work, the result is the same. The burden of these facilities are placed on communities that receive little to none of the benefits and receive all of the pollution. The jobs that are available come with the risk of serious health impacts. Workers producing plastic are at increased risk of leukemia, lymphoma, hepatic angiosarcoma, brain cancer, breast cancer, mesothelioma, neurotoxic injury, and decreased fertility. Workers producing plastic textiles die of bladder cancer, lung cancer, mesothelioma, and interstitial lung disease at increased rates. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, known as OSHA, is tasked with ensuring protection for all workers. OSHA has a disclaimer on its website that it, quote, recognizes that many of its permissible exposure limits, PELs, are outdated and inadequate to protect workers' health. In Louisiana, local communities often have not even received the benefits of the tax revenue from these facilities. The state's industrial tax exemption program exempts major industrial facilities in Louisiana from most property taxes for up to a decade. ITAP cost local taxing bodies $1.48 billion in foregone taxes in 2018. That's 33% of property taxes collected by the state. This is an issue of justice, and that's why it's so important that we're having the hearing. And so I look forward to hearing the insights that each of you bring from your lived experience and what